Hi all, once again, good morning. I am Prabhavati. I am working as a data engineer for more than 10 years now. So I'll be walking you through all the data engineering sessions, data engineering training sessions, along with all the technologies, what will be asked in the interviews, how you can prepare for the interviews, and how you can work in the real time. Everything I'll walk you through the details. So let me share my screen. Open a notepad. First, let us discuss what data engineering is. How does our daily life looks like? All of that we can discuss now. So, even though you are not from the technical background, not from the software background, still you will be able to learn it without any problem. So, I will start with the basics. Starting from the basics, we'll go till the level whatever is required for our daily routine, daily job, or for the interviews as well. Okay, so first, what is data engineering? By looking at the word itself, we are understanding that we are doing some engineering around the data, which means that nowadays uh, everybody is into the internet. So a lot of data is getting generated. We have lots of online applications. We have YouTube, you have Amazon, Flipkart, everything we have. For anything you mentioned, we have websites, Zomato, Swiggy. For anything we have the websites. So there will be customers are like we, the people who places a order in those websites. We are the people who place the orders. So just like us, there will be a lot of people across the world who will be placing the orders in any of these websites. So for each order, whatever operation you do in any of the websites, lot of data will be generated. So every business has their own applications, has their own customer base, and their own data is generated every day. Okay, right? So that data we have to convert it to some meaningful data. That data, whatever the business is, let us say our business is a Zomato application. I want to track how many restaurants are tied up with our Zomato application, and how many customers are there, how many delivery boys are there, and how much of revenue is generated through these orders. All of this I want to know. Just by looking at the data, we won't be able to understand. By just looking at the raw data, we will not be able to understand how much revenue is generated, and is there any loss or profit, or what are the improvements we can make to the business. That all we can not just decide by just looking at the data, because the data size is so large. I am not the only customer, or you are not the only customer for their business. So throughout the world, they have lots of customers, millions and millions of customers. So in order to deal with that millions of customers, we should have some tools and technologies to maintain the data, right? So data engineering is all about converting data into some meaningful insights. Okay, on a high level, this is very, very high level, like what data engineering does. So he gets the data from somewhere and convert it into some meaningful data so that the business can decide what improvement strategies they can make. Okay, so that is it. So for that, we have to build ETL pipelines. For converting this data into some meaningful insights, we have to build ETL pipelines. Okay, ETL pipelines. ETL means extract, transform, and load. I'll tell you what we are extracting, transforming, and loading. Extract, transform, and load. Okay. So what are we extracting? So that that Zomato application, it somewhere it will track that data. Who are all placing the orders? Which restaurants are providing that service to the Zomato or tied up with the Zomato? That information we will be getting it from somewhere. So somebody might share it in the form of files to our emails, files to our email. Ours in the sense, the organization's email, not particularly our personal email. Okay, files to the email. So, or somebody might be sending data through the API. API means it is one of the website. Let us, for time being, let us assume that API is one of the website where we used to get the data. So, whenever the data is so huge, instead of the files, we'll go with APIs. So, APIs, just for time being, assume that this is a website or interface to get the data. not only getting, uh, we can post that, we can get that. There are various things, but in our context, we from the APIs we will be getting the data, or from SFTP servers. SFTP in the sense there are some secure servers which have some authentication mechanism. So maybe we need a username, password, or some tokens are required to access the files from that location. Just like placing the files in a Google Drive. For that Google Drive, we need our username and password. Similarly, for the SFTP files, they'll be placing the files in one of the servers for which we need access. Okay. SFTP, Secure File Transfer Protocol. Okay. So other than this, we might be getting the data from the Oracle. Let us say we are working for the banking applications. So whatever transactions we are doing, either we might be crediting the amount or debiting the amount, or whatever you are paying to some vendor, whatever it is, all the transactions are being captured, and that has to be implemented on a real time, right? So as soon as you do a transaction, that balance or the credit has to be reflected immediately in our account. So in those cases, in those operational databases, not only the banking application, this Amazon, Swiggy, whatever, the transaction level information that may be stored in the Oracle as well. Okay, Oracle database. Okay, so mostly here we'll store the operational data. Okay, so from any of these sources, we might be getting the data. So for that, we have to extract. So somewhere we have the data that we need to get it, extract it. Extract means pulling that data, getting it ready. Okay, extract the data. So for this extraction, we need various tools and technologies. So what tools and technologies we need for this are, so we need a Python. We use Python. Generally, Python is an open source language. It is free of cost. We don't need to pay any amount. So extensively, we use Python for extraction for any of these sources. So for Python has a very vast library. So we can get the data using the Python programming language. Python is a programming language. So for transformation also, we use some advanced Python. We call pandas, advanced Python, or PySpark. In case of big data, we use PySpark. Advanced Python is pandas. And in case of, if we are planning to use PySpark, that should be a big data. Sorry, big data. In case of big data means huge volume of data. If it is a huge volume of data, we use PySpark for transformation. For transformation, we use advanced Python pandas or the Spark, PySpark. So for loading, so for loading, I mean, this is not in a proper format. Either the data is coming from the APIs, SFTP, email, or Oracle, or anywhere. It might be from anywhere. Sometimes the data will not be in the proper structure. So for that, we are doing the transformation, and then we have to make it clean, make it ready, and load it into a database or a data warehouse. You might think that Oracle is also a database, but that is operational. Operational in the sense that is meant for transactions, not for analysis. Okay. In the Oracle itself, we can use both for analysis and transaction. That's a different story. We'll cover that later. But this loading, we have to load it into a data warehouse or a database or a data warehouse. Mostly these days we are using data warehouse. So those data warehouses are nowadays everybody is extensively using Snowflake. Okay, Snowflake is our data warehouse. So somebody might use Redshift, which is specific to AWS, or Synapse, which is specific to Azure. Okay, so Snowflake, it is supported on all three cloud platforms. Now, so when I say cloud platforms, everybody of you have the Gmail accounts, so which is owned by the Google, right? Google company. So similarly, we have two more. One is the AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, and another is GCP, sorry, Azure, which is provided by the Microsoft. So along with the Google, we have Microsoft Azure provided by Microsoft, and AWS provided by the Amazon. So these are the three major cloud providers nowadays. Amazon, simply AWS, GCP, Google Cloud Platform. GCP stands for Google Cloud Platform, and Azure provided by the Microsoft. Okay, these are the three major cloud providers. So Redshift is specific to AWS, Synapse is specific to Azure, and in GCP we have a BigQuery. Okay, with GCP, very rarely people will be using because all the time organizations are using Azure. Nowadays, it is into Azure. Previously, they used to work on AWS. Now, everybody is moving to Azure. That's why we are covering Azure data engineering. So, for storing the data, initially we are getting the data, right? That initially has to be stored somewhere. Okay. So, initially, you might be thinking that the data is already there in the API. We can use it from there itself. No. There we have all the historical data since long time. That much of data we don't need. Whatever we are trying to get today, that should be stored somewhere. Every day the data has to be stored somewhere. That storage is in the cloud, any of these clouds, depending upon our organization, we have to store it in the clouds. Okay, these are the three major cloud providers. The data storage should be there in the cloud. Okay, so other than these technologies, so extraction, transform, and loading we have done. So why are we loading the data into the any data warehouse? Because on that data we need to write some queries. We need to do some analysis. Just the metrics, what I have told, metrics in the sense, uh, the important things. How many customers are there for the Zomato? How many restaurants are tied up with that? Are there any new customers signing up for our web page, or are there any new restaurants coming in, or how much is the revenue generated? How much we are paying for the delivery boys? How much percentage we are getting from the Zomato? All of that calculations we have to do based on the data available in the data warehouse. So for that, the most important thing, being a data engineer, or if assume you are not even a data engineer, if you're talking about the word data, SQL is mandatory. So when I say the word data, SQL is mandatory. These are like SQL is like alphabets for our education. So similarly, SQL is the basic thing or the mandatory thing to learn for data engineering or any kind of data. Either it might be data engineer, data analyst, data scientist, whatever you are into. If it has to deal with the data, you must use SQL. So even in the real-time world, real-time scenarios or the projects, 60 to 70% of our work lies in the SQL. Even though you are working with the PySpark or Azure or whatever it is, SQL is mandatory. Okay. So whatever tools and technologies you use, SQL is the basic thing to know. Okay. Every day you end up in writing SQL queries because you need to do some analysis on the data. We need to play around the data to understand something, or if there are any issues, you need to debug that. For anything and everything, you need SQL. 60 to 70% of our work lies around SQL. So now Python is also, so what tools and technologies we are going to cover in our session is uh, tools and technologies. What tools and technologies are we going to cover in our session? So the first and the basic thing is SQL. So 60 to 70% of our work lies in SQL. Even in the interviews, they will ask you to write the queries by sharing your screen. So SQL is mandatory. SQL. And next is Python. Python, it is also used, but not in an everyday routine. So when the project was in the initial phase of setup, so during that time, Python is required. So other than that, if the project is already started and the development is somewhat completed, so in those cases, Python is very rarely used, but you should be good at Python because interviews, they'll ask you Python. Even in the real-time projects, if some issue comes in any of this part, in any of the extraction, if any issue comes, then you have to go identify the root cause and fix it. For that, you need to know Python. Okay, for any new requirements, we need Python. So let me write it here. 60% I can say SQL. So maybe Python 10%. But still, Python is very important. Even though I'm telling you 10%, basic understanding or how you have to use that knowledge is required, definitely required. So don't worry, I'm going to cover in detail thoroughly from the basics till the advanced. Okay, Python and SQL are the basics or the fundamentals for any data engineer. So other than this, you should be familiar with one of the clouds. Okay, one cloud technology or one cloud platform. It might be either GCP or Azure or AWS, one cloud platform. So for our trainings, we'll use Azure because Azure is extensively used nowadays. We will go with Azure. Okay, so Azure. In the cloud also, there are various services. For time being, let me take this Google as an example, the Gmail. So let me show you. Everybody might know. So, but still, see here, if you open any of the Gmail accounts, we have a lot of services. Google Drive, Gmail, YouTube, Gemini, Maps. Gemini is a AI tool. Search, Google search, calendar, news, photos. We have a lot of things here, right? So these are all the services provided by the Gmail, but you might not be using all of them. Similarly, in the Azure or the other cloud AWS, we have lots of services, but mostly we'll be using storage, ETL, ETL tool, and data warehouse. These are the three important things data engineer requires in any kind of cloud platform. So for storage, now coming to the Azure, in the storage comes with Blob and ADLS. So these are the things I'm going to cover in our sessions. Blob and ADLS are the storage accounts or the storage types available in the Azure. So coming to ETL. So when I say we are doing extraction, we are doing transformation and loading, this process has to happen continuously, maybe once in a day or once in an hour or based on your business requirement. It has to happen continuously. For that, there should be some tool. Also, there should be some order, right? When the extraction has to happen, when the transform has to happen, and when the load has to happen, there should be some order, and in between them, there might be multiple steps. So when you really look at the data, you will get to know. So there will be multiple steps. For that automation and setting the sequence, we need some ETL tool. That ETL tool is in the cloud. We have ADF and the Databricks. Other than that, we have another ETL orchestration tool. ETL orchestration means setting up the pipelines, automating all of that. We call it as a orchestration. Setting the pipelines, dependencies, their schedule, all of this we call it as a orchestration. So ETL orchestration. There is another tool called Airflow. Airflow, I'll just give you theoretically the overview because we are thoroughly discussing about the ADF and the Databricks for the ETL, right? So also regarding the programming, I'll also cover PySpark. PySpark in combination with the Databricks. Let me write it here. PySpark. PySpark in combination with the Databricks, I'll cover this. So coming to the data warehouse, we'll deal with Snowflake. Okay. So coming to data warehouse, we'll deal with Snowflake. So I think I have covered almost all the things which we are going to cover in our session, SQL, Python, and the cloud platform. I'll give you the background of the cloud, the basics of the cloud, everything, and the storage, ETL, data warehouse. Okay, other than that, we one additional tool. I'll just give you the overview. I'm not going to show you the real implementation because this is heavily built using the Python program. Sorry, please be on mute. Okay. We extend for our Airflow, we need extensive Python. Okay. But still, whatever the Python you are going to learn in these sessions, with that, you will be able to build the Airflow pipelines as well. But you have to go through some of the documentations just to have it on your own. Okay. So, how our sessions will be? It will be for 1 hour, more or less 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes to 20 minutes every day. So it will take around 2 to 2.5 months. And then I'll be covering from basics till the advanced, whatever is required for the data engineering. And in everyday session, I'll be telling you if I'm working, if I'm telling you about some concept, so how it will be asked in the interviews, how it will be asked in the real time, how it will be used in the real time. That all I can tell you. So other than that, yeah, that all I can tell you. So if you practice whatever I suggest in the class, So you will be very comfortably able to attend interviews or work in the real time. Okay. So don't worry about that. Just focus on what I'm teaching you or what I'm suggesting here. Okay. So follow along. You will definitely be get comfortable. Now coming back. So we have loaded the data. So we have transformed. Transformed means what? You're just making it cleaner because sometimes there might be spaces in the column names, or you might want to rename the column names. Maybe like from the source, we have some customer data. Let us assume from the source, you're just getting name, address, ID, like that. So instead of that, you might want to have the customer ID, customer name, customer address, because maybe we talk about something like a product. Maybe that time also we might have a name. If we just say name, we don't know whether it is a customer name or a product name, right? So maintaining that clarity is required. So in those cases, we might be renaming the columns or converting to the proper data types. When I say data types, we might get some numbers. Let us say this customer placed an order for 1,000 rupees. So that 1,000 rupees, when we are getting the raw data, so all the data available in this is called as a raw data. So if they're sending some number, so somebody might be sending just simply the 1,000, or somebody might be sending it like this, or maybe there are various formats in which the people might be sending the data, right? Or maybe that a Hindi rupees are our Indian currency rupees, that R will be there, or sometimes the dollars will be there. Okay, whatever it is, I just need to make it consistent. I should follow only one of this pattern. Okay, this is the correct thing to do, because these symbols, while we are doing some mathematical operations, it won't be able to understand. So these kind of cleanup activities we have to do. Also, if there are any duplicates, we have to remove them. If there are any nulls, we have to fill it with some values. All of that cleaning things we can do in the transformation. And after cleaning that data, we will load to data warehouse. On the data warehouse, we will implement some business rules. When I say business rules, let us take the same example, Zomato, where there will be a restaurant tied up with the Zomato and there will be a customer. Or the Zomato is the interface between a restaurant and a customer, right? The customer will be placing the order. The restaurant owner accepts that order. He prepares that and the delivery boy delivers the order. So there are a lot of things involved here. So the restaurant has to get something, right? We are paying the bill for him. So out of that bill, something has to go for Zomato, something has to go for the delivery boy, right? So if there is no benefit for the delivery boy or the Zomato app, why do they do all this service, right? So there should be something to the Zomato. Let us say we have placed an order for 1,000 rupees. We have ordered some food for 1,000 rupees. Let us assume. So everything will pay it in the Zomato itself. While placing on order, we place everything. I mean, we pay everything, just 1,000 rupees. They will not show you this is for delivery boy, this is for restaurant, this is for transportation. They will not show anything. They'll just show the number, maybe some delivery charges. They'll show. Okay, so everything on a whole, we have paid 1,000 rupees to the restaurant. Let us assume, so Zomato being the interface. So who Zomato being the interface for the restaurant and the customer, Zomato has to get something, and the delivery boy also has to get something for the service he is doing. And the restaurant owner, he is the owner of the item or the food we are getting, right? So that owner, the major portion of that has to go to the owner, because he is getting the raw materials, he is processing the food, and he is delivering it. So let us assume out of this 70% goes to restaurant. Let us assume, which means 700 goes to the restaurant. 700 goes to the restaurant. And so we are left with 300, maybe 10% or 15%, 10 or 15% goes to Zomato. Okay. So maybe 150 rupees goes to Zomato. 15%, I'm assuming it goes to Zomato. Okay. Another 150 rupees, it will go to the delivery boy. Okay. So for his travel expenses and for the services he is offering. So this is how it has to be distributed. So, but in the order, how we get the transaction, let us say there is a restaurant ID, uh, there is a customer ID who has placed this order. So we have restaurant address, we have customer address. All these are required to for the delivery boy to deliver the items, right? So, and we might have the delivery boy ID, delivery boy ID, because there might be n number of delivery boys who will be delivering that. So, and the cost or the price of the order. Also, we should have an order ID, because if something is happened, I mean, if the order is not delivered, if you have any issues with the order, in order to reach the customer support or somebody, we should have an order ID. And also the order date, on which date you have placed an order, the order time, all of the details will be there. Okay. On a high level, assume that this data is being captured when we placed an order in the Amazon website. Okay. Sorry, not Amazon, Swiggy, sorry, Zomato website. These details are there. There will be a lot of other details as well, but our focus is here. We have these details and we want to place an order. We have placed it and all the details has come now. So now in this case, I don't know just the price. I know the customer has paid 1,000 rupees. I don't know how much has to pay to whom, the Zomato, the delivery boy, the restaurant owner. How much is gone to each person? I don't know. So the business will tell. So the restaurant owner or the Zomato person, Zomato business, Uh, they will tell us how much percentage of revenue is given to the restaurant owner, how much is given to delivery boy, how much is given to others. Okay. So now on this data, on the price column, we need to apply the rules. So 70% goes to restaurant. We will have some additional columns here. So this is the raw data. On this raw data, we this is loaded to data warehouse, let us assume. So on this data warehouse, we should have some additional information. So then only we'll get some insights. So delivery boy charges, let us assume delivery boy charges. And next is restaurant price, restaurant charges. Okay, how much restaurant is charging us, and what else we are left with, and delivery boy, restaurant, and Zomato. And Zomato, how much you have to pay for Zomato charges. Okay, so we have to calculate all of this using the price column. So these calculations we'll be doing on the data warehouse, and at the end of the month or end of the day, they will calculate how much revenue is generated for each of the segments. Okay. Once we prepare this data, this will be given to analytics. Analytics means the persons who will build the dashboards using the Power BI, Tableau. There are various analytics tools. We will be handing over this data to the analytics. They will take care of that. Okay, they will generate the dashboards, and they will hand it over to the business people. So the business stakeholders will look at these reports and identify if they think that we are spending more. If the restaurant owner thinks that so much of amount is going into the Zomato charges, so he might take a decision that I will not do any online orders. I'll just go offline. I will uh, I will cancel the agreement with the Zomato. He might take the decision. Or Zomato might be thinking that there are a lot of charges are being going to restaurant. I'm getting no benefit for my tool. So I'm not going to provide service for the restaurant. So whatever it is, the business will take some decisions. Okay. Or else they might have a negotiation that, hey, instead of the 15% as Zomato charges, take only 10% because we have a lot of other expenses. So all these decisions can be taken by looking at this data. Okay. So every day, this is on a high level what a data engineer does. Okay. So on a daily basis, our roles will be like ingesting the data. Ingesting means inserting the data into the data warehouse. Ingesting means we are getting some data from the all these sources, and we have to load it into the data warehouse, apply the rules. That is one part of it. Ingestion means putting the data into the data warehouse. Ingestion of data. The other thing is, so for that everything has to be automated, right? For that we have a ETL tool. Automated means the extract, transform, and load. It has to happen every day at a defined time interval. So that automation is taken care by the ETL tool. That pipelines we have to monitor. So if something fails in the pipelines because of some issue, we have to make sure the issue will be resolved. And at the end of the day, the load happened completely, and our calculations are ready by the time the business will look into this. Okay, pipelines monitoring. We call this as a production support. 24 by 7, there should be someone who will be looking at these pipelines. Okay, production support, that we call it as a production support. Even during the weekends also, we might need to support. There will be a shift rotation, each hours, sorry, 8 hours per each person. So three people might be supporting that production support. So other than this, I am telling that the data will be handed over to analytics, right? The Power BI or the analytics team. So if they report some issues, hey, see that this calculations, I am not seeing that correctly. Okay. So maybe on the background, we are just discuss 700 for restaurant, 150 for Zomato, and 150 for delivery. So, but their expectation or business, what business is telling that, hey, the restaurant owner should get 800, and each of these two persons will get 100. But I am seeing a different data here. They will come up with such kind of scenarios. So then what we have to do is we have to go and ask the business, hey, you are telling this, but we have the rule implemented that 15% is the delivery charges and 15% is the Zomato charges. Is there a change in the rule or is there a change in the agreement? So that we need to discuss with them and fix it. Okay. Otherwise, there are various reasons. Okay. The data might be bad or the data is not processed. There might be n number of scenarios for the root cause. So that we have to analyze and debug. Analyze the data issues. Okay. Not even the just the calculation. Sometimes the restaurant ID, it is supposed to be integers. Let us say the restaurant ID, not integer, it is a mix of integers and alphabets. So let us take a restaurant ABC. The restaurant name is ABC. So it as it is tied with Zomato, it should have Zom. Okay. So followed by some number. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So this is how the restaurant ID should look like. ABC, XYZ, Zomato, the number of the restaurant. Okay. So this is the pattern. But for some reason, there was a entry 2, 3, 4, some bad entry, we have it here like this. The id is there, which is incorrect. It doesn't make sense. There is some format we are following, but this looks to be odd. So this also we need to take care of that. This is a bad data. We will be implementing the data quality checks. Data quality checks means, is the data coming in the expected format, expected time? Is it all expected? Is it all in the expected format? That we need to implement data quality rules. Okay. So So whatever we are doing, everything involves writing the SQL queries. You should be very good at that. So these are our daily routines. So the interviews will be mostly out of the SQL, Python, and Azure. Okay. So that's all about. Please let me know if you have any questions.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Good. So if you don't have any questions, I'm good with the session. You can drop off. Or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Hope it is. Hope you are able to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just please let me know if you have any doubts.
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. You can drop off if you don't have any questions. Thank you.